Alright, guys, so I was having a look in the other requests tab, and Doc wants me to take a look at something made by the Book of Choyer. And I have never seen this creator before, but I'm about to, and he wanted me to check out the origins of the Skavens. And his whole, you can leave a comment, of course, and, tell me why I should watch this. His was, Rat Chief says he must click press video content about rat folk. Yes, yes! Anyhow, I just hurt my neck doing that. Anyhow, the Skaven are one faction in Warhammer that I unfortunately know a little bit about. Mainly because they're crazy and I like them. What can you say about a bunch of rat people that, have a stuttering problem and, and a superiority complex that just goes beyond elven. Anyhow, we're going to get into this. Origins of the Skaven. Let's go. Okay, that was a restart.
The Skaven.
Yes.
A race of verminous creatures whose numbers could drown out the horizon line. Their dark influence is spread across the old and the new world alike. But even then, with a race that is so expansive and dominant, gnawing at the roots of the world, there is a disturbing lack of knowledge about the Skaven.
Yes.
Imperial and dwarf scholars know very little about the true origins of these vile creatures. But there are some clues that shed a dim light on their dark story.
Let's go. Skaven playthroughs are some of the best playthroughs I've ever had in Warhammer 2 and...
From the jungles and swamps of Lustria to the darkest places of the World's Edge Mountains. From the blasted hellscapes of the Dark Lands to the vast and endless deserts of Araby, the Skaven roam the world. Only the verdant paradise that is Ulthuan is safe in the grasp of the Vermin Tide.
I love that it's called the Vermin Tide. At any one point, that's like, you can call, the Green Tide, all this other kind of stuff, the Wa, but you have to really be loathsome to call yourself the Vermin Tide.
How the Skaven came to be is still a mystery, and despite the magnitude of the threat beneath their feet, the majority of nations do not acknowledge that the children of the Horned Rat exist.
Well, aren't we in denial?
Some scholars and academics classify the Skaven as a mutated variant of Beastmen. Both seem to be an evil parody of the human body form, and both twisted into dark reflections of the spirit of man.
Yes.
The Beastmen reflect a dark form of pride and jealousy, while the Skaven reflect the nature of treachery in human society. Others suggest the Skaven are mutated forms of common rats, corrupted by foul magic.
That's what I'd lean to.
Skaven history is also a form of mystery to the Skaven themselves. The Ratmen naturally do not live very long, and are not concerned by their own origins. Most Skaven lives are disposable, and they are spent on dangerous experiments, slave labor, and as cannon fodder on the battlefront.
This is accurate.
In addition, most Skaven do not know how to read or write. Only those in the highest positions, Grey Seers and warlords of the many Thrall clans, have the ability to do so. And very few are too concerned with the past and future of their race, only keen on keeping themselves in positions of power, and to an extent, alive.
Accurate.
They do not account for great deeds such as victories in battle or important inventions. Some clans keep records, but they are mostly a barrage of claims and counterclaims, hyperbole and excuses.
Yeah.
Perhaps those that are most knowledgeable about the origins of the Skaven are not the Skaven, the dwarves, or even the men of the Empire. To explore this reality, we must head to the fertile peninsula that is Tilea.
Okay.
The people of Tilea have dealt with the Ratmen for much longer than the Empire of Man. While the Empire tries to cover up the existence of this constant menace, Tilea is far more knowledgeable, aware, and responsible when dealing with the ever-present lurking enemy.
Okay. Enter stuff I have no idea about it.
The Doom of Cavzar.
The only document available about the first encounter with a Skaven is the tale called The Doom of Cavzar, an ancient Tilean poem with 13 stanzas. Copies of this tale have inexplicably disappeared from the Empire,
Inexplicably.
but the tale is still known in Tilea. The text reads as follows. Once upon a time, long, long ago, men and dwarves lived together beneath the roof of one great city. Some said it was the oldest and greatest city in the world.
That's no dwarf. That's an imposter. This is so sus. Where is the beard? Where is the beard on this guy? This is sus. This is the first Skaven. Bet.
And had existed before the time of the Longbeards and Manlings. Built by older and wiser hands in the dawn of the world. The city lay both above and below the earth, in keeping with the nature of the populace that dwelt there. The dwarves ruled in their great halls of stone below ground, and wrestled the fruits of the rock free with their day-long toil, while the Manlings reaped the fields of swaying corn that surrounded the city with a patchwork blanket of gold. The sun smiled, men laughed, and everyone was happy.
Bullshit.
One day, the men of the city decided that they should give praise to their gods for their good fortune.
Okay.
They planned a temple such as the world had never seen before. In the central square, a colossal hall would be built, and topped with a single cloud-piercing tower. A tower so tall, it would touch the very heart of the heavens.
We've all heard this story before at some point.
After much planning, and with
Like, seriously, we've all heard stories like this at some point. Just, it always goes badly when you have these kinds of, aspirations.
the help of the Longbeards, they set about their monumental task. Weeks became months, and months became years, and still the Manlings built. Men grew old and gray working on that great temple, their sons continuing their work through summer sun and winter rain. At last, after many generations, work began on the great spire itself. Years passed, and the tower reached such a height that the Manlings found it ever more difficult to take the stone up to the top. Eventually, the work slowed to a crawl, and finishing the tower seemed impossible. Then one came among the men of the city, who offered his help in their great scheme.
Oh boy.
He asked a single boon of them in return, and claimed that if they grant him this, he would complete the tower in a single night.
Really?
The Manlings said to themselves, "What have we to lose?" and offered to make a bargain with the gray-clad stranger. All he wished was to add his own dedication to the gods onto the temple structure. The Manlings agreed, and the
Okay.
bargain was struck.
This is a bad idea, but
At
okay.
dusk, the stranger entered the unfinished temple and bade the Manlings to return at midnight. Clouds swept over the moons, cloaking the temple in darkness as the Manlings left. All over the city, men watched and waited as the hours slipped past, until, near midnight, by ones and twos, they gathered again in the temple square. The wind blew, and the clouds parted as they gazed up at the temple. It rose like an unbroken lance against the sky, pure and white. At its very peak, a great horned bell hung gleaming coldly in the moonlight. The stranger's dedication to the gods was there, but of the stranger himself, there was no sign.
Yay, this is gonna be bad.
The manlings rejoiced that their father's work was done. They surged forward to enter the temple. Then, at the stroke of midnight, the great bell began to toll. Once.
He's a great storyteller. This guy's a great storyteller.
Twice.
3 times a lady. Oh god, I suck.
Thrice. Slow, heavy waves of sound rolled across the city. 4.
That's me being a gin main.
5. 6 times the bell rang, like the torpid pulse of a bronze giant.
That's disturbing.
7. 8. 9. The rolling of the bell grew louder with each ring, and the manlings staggered back from the temple steps, clutching their ears. 10. 11. 12. 13. At the 13th stroke, lightning split the skies and thunder echoes through the night.
This is a bad
High
sign.
above, the dark circle of Moore's light was lit by a bright flash, and all fell ominously silent.
Yes.
The manlings fled to their beds, frightened and puzzled by the portents they had seen. Next morning they arose to find that the darkness had come to the city. Brooding storm clouds reared above the rooftops, and such rain fell as had never been seen before. Black, like ash. The rain fell.
This is a bad
and puddled
sign.
in the streets.
Look, at this point you need to go. You know what world you live on. You know stuff like this is not normal. You know stuff like this usually leads to bad things, so why aren't you leaving?
Slicking the cobbles with darkly iridescent colors. At first, some of the manlings didn't worry. They waited for the rain to stop so that they might resume their work. But the rain did not stop. The winds blew stronger and lightning shook the high tower. Days stretched into weeks, and still the rain did not stop.
Yay.
Each night the bell tolled 13 times. In each morning the darkness lay across the city. The manlings became fearful and prayed to their gods. Still, the rains did not stop, and the black clouds hung like a shroud over the fields of flattened corn. The manlings went to the dwarves and beseeched their help. The Longbeards were unconcerned. What mattered a little rain on the surface? In the
Dwarves
bosom
don't
of
care.
the earth, all was warm and dry.
This is true.
Now the manlings huddled in their dwelling, fear gnawing at their hearts. They sent some of the number to faraway places to seek help, but none of
That's
them returned.
disturbing.
Some went to the temple to pray and sacrifice their dwindling food to the gods, but they found the temple door closed to them. The rain grew heavier.
That's bad.
Dark hailstones fell from the sky and crushed the sodden crops.
He's
The
a good
great
storyteller.
bell tolled a death knell over the terrified city. Soon great stones cleft the heavens, rushing down like dark meteors to smash the homes of the manlings.
Yay, meteor
Many
shower.
sickened and died from no apparent cause, and the newborn babies of the manlings were hideously twisted.
This is...
Skulking vermin devoured what little stored corn there was left, and the manlings began to starve. The manling elders went to see the dwarves again,
I have never heard this story, and it's really disturbing.
and this time demanded their help. They wanted to bring their folk below ground to safety. They wanted food. The Longbeards grew angry and told the manlings that the lower workings were flooded,
Oh, wow, now
and their
there's a
food
problem.
had also been devoured by rats. There remained barely enough food and shelter for them and their kinsmen. They cast the manlings out of their halls and closed their doors once more.
Well,
In the ruins of the city above, each day became more deadly than the last. The manlings despaired and called for succor from the dark gods.
of course.
Whispered the names of forgotten demon princes in the hope of salvation. But none came.
Gotta turn in the entire city into a ritual.
Instead, the vermin returned, bigger and bolder than ever. Their slinking furred shapes infested the broken city, feasting on the fallen and pulling down the weak. Each midnight the bell tolled 13 times on high, seeming now brazen.
Is anybody else wanting to load up Warhammer and play a Skaven game just because now?
And triumphant. The manlings lived as hunted creatures in their own city, as great rat packs roamed the streets in search of them. At last, the desperate manlings took up such weapons as they had and beat upon the dwarves' door.
The dwarves are
Threatening
gone,
that
baby.
If they did not emerge, they would drag them out by their beards.
Dwarves are gone.
No reply came from within.
They're all dead.
The manlings took up beams and battered down the doors to reveal the tunnels below.
They're all dead.
Dark and empty. Stealing themselves, the pitiful remnants of the city's once proud populace descended. In the ancient hall of kingship, they found the dwarves. Now naught but gnawed bones and scraps of cloth.
There you go.
And there they saw by the dying light of their torches the myriad of eyes about them, glittering like liquid midnight, as the rats closed in for the kill.
Are these minis? No, they're not minis. That's so disgusting. I love this
The
video.
manlings stood back to back and fought for their lives. But against such implacable ferocity and countless numbers of the verminous horde, their weapons were useless.
Are these minis? They look like minis.
The tide of monstrous rats flowed over them one by one, dragging them down to be torn apart, the yellow chiseled teeth sinking into their soft flesh.
That's disgusting.
The dark, tufted mass drowning their pitiful screams with their hideous chittering.
The curse of 13. Little rat things.
Since their inception, hundreds of years ago, the Skaven race has proven to be one of the most dangerous threats to the Warhammer world. It is an ever-growing menace that schemes and plots the downfall of humanity. When emerging from their lairs to the field of battle, they are a deadly horde of unimaginably vast numbers that blends destructive war machines with dark magic.
And a horde of little rats.
We will give them battle. Yes.
Little rat things. Oh my god. That... no. Taco Tuesday. No. Taco Tuesday. You know, if you're looking to elicit sympathy, only critique about this video, if you're looking to elicit sympathy, not the Dark Elves. Not the Dark Elves at all. Put the Empire or somebody else up there. The High Elves of Uthwan. Not Uthwan. I'm an idiot. You know, put the Dwarves or, you know, Britannia. You know, anybody but the Dark Elves, because I don't care what happens bad to the Dark Elves. They're garbage people. Yeah, that's disgusting. Ugh. The Great Horned Rat! Oh my god. The movements are so jittery. No. It's bad when the Slaneshi devotees don't think it's hot. My god, that's disgusting. What are they doing? Oh, that's just nasty. I don't care what they're hitting you with, it's nasty. That's good and disgusting. Big rat. Big rat! Steroid rat. Yeah, run. Yeah, no. I can't remember what half these units are called. I cannot remember what half of these units are called. Sorry, guys. Yeah. Riding dinosaur. Yep. You're going nowhere. Yeah. That was the first thing I did. I'd find the general, I'd just try to wipe them out. Just swarm them. Lovely.
The verminous hordes move at speeds that belies their staggering size. They seem to flow in endless waves of chittering ratmen, and when the battle is over, they disappear like floodwaters, draining in countless unseen holes, leaving little to no trace of their existence, save only smoking ruins and scoured lands.
Rattling snipers exist, guys. Literally.
Even as we speak, they wait in the dark beneath us, ever watching with beady eyes for the right moment to strike.
Yes, little rat things.
On this channel, we are putting
Excellent storyteller with this. Excellent. Absolutely outstanding. I loved it. That was a story I had not heard about the Skaven. I never really paid much attention to the Skaven's origins. But you had to know it was going to be something disturbing. Because it's part of the Warhammer world. And things typically are you get rather bad when you start talking about certain people, places, and things. And I had no doubt the Skaven's origin story was going to be kind of disgusting considering what they have and what they are. This guy made an excellent video. I now know something I didn't know before. Good luck getting me to remember it in like legitimately 2 months, but such is the nature of the beast. I cram my head with stuff. I've told my wife before, I am a repository for useless knowledge. I'm hoping this sticks. So, Skaven. I now have a urge to play them because I have Warhammer 1 and 2. So I have the urge to play them. I don't have Warhammer 3. I don't really think I'm going to get it. Mainly because I don't have much time for video games. But I don't know. I have to figure out something. In any case, this was outstanding. Bar none, this was outstanding. I love the storytelling. I love the visuals. I love everything. I love how everything seemed to match up. Yeah, 100%. I loved it. So this was done by the Book of Choyer, and I definitely recommend that channel, 100%. So I'm going to be putting his links in the description down below. Go by, check him out, and give him a like. And, yeah, the doc, thank you for the recommendation. All of the Book of Choyer's links are going to be in the description down below, right next to my own, including my Patreon, my PayPal, and the Discord, so you can come in and request something that you want me to take a look at. And, yeah, we're going to continue moving on through the request line. There's a lot of SCP requests, which I'm going to address at least one of them tonight. I was sick for a little bit there. I have gotten a lot better. I'm still a little bit under the weather, but I'm getting there. But going back to normal, guys, and I'll catch you guys next time. Little rat things.